Morning and welcome to Frank's School. I think you're probably going to hear my dog barking on the porch, but I'll just let that go. I paused for a few days, after telling you about the tragedy, the obliteration of young guy. you know, I just felt like, in a sense, I had to pause, but I need to go on, and I need constantly to remind myself of what I'm doing here. This is about Portugal and the Alps, and yet I'm in Peru, in the Peruvian Andes. It's a prequel, and I'm not just trying to tell you the adventures I had while traveling, my travel log or whatever. That would be a different purpose, but in the process, I'm doing some of it. I'm looking for formative days, I call them, that might help to understand how I got to think and act the way I did. Anyway, we got back to Lima by a colectiva, I think it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was, in a car. You go together. That was from the Cajon de Huaylas, and of course, we knew nothing of the tragedy that was coming to young guy and that Cajon de Huaylas in general in 10 months. Got back to Lima. I don't have too much to say about Lima. I didn't before and I don't now. It's a city. But then we got on a train and took the train up to Huancayo. Huancayo is up in the mountains, and this is the highest railroad in the Americas. I think it still is. And the railroad is still there. They actually offer passengers oxygen. They go along with, he had this bag, really a bag, and he was offering oxygen to passengers if they needed it as they went over. You can go on YouTube, of course, now and see what it's like to ride on that train. I glanced at it, but my memory is a little different. Anyway, we were there for the Sunday market day. We must have planned that from the word go, that we knew that was the day to go to Huancayo. And we went to the market, bought a few things, some of which I think I maybe still have. I had an Inca hat somewhere around, one of those funny looking, really, but warm. Or Inca hat, Peruvian Quechua hat, I should say. But we were at the market. Oh, and the pickpockets. I was pickpocketed. Kids were trying to pickpocket me all the time. I used to catch them, or I caught them different times. And actually, in one case, I took them to the policeman. I said, "This guy tried to pickpocket me," and the policeman took him, and I'm sure he just let him go. I'm not sure if that was before or after I had been pickpocketed and knifed in Recife, Brazil. I'd caught a pickpocket by the shirt and at night in Recife, and he wheeled around and knifed me. My arm's sore, so I don't know where it is now, but I still bear the scar somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, I understood. I mean, they were poor, and their morality was probably different. Very Catholic country, but extremely Quechua as well, and packed full of tourists. Well, it wasn't for us. We didn't see that many tourists when we were there. Maybe because it was so far back. It was in the month of August. Anyway, we were there, and we stayed that night in a hotel. If I say hotel, the thing I remember about that is going up the wooden stairs, dark, unlighted, wondering, are these stairs going to actually fall down before we get to the top? But we managed to sleep the night, and then we took a bus. I say bus. Whoa, I would not do that again, and I do not recommend it to you. We knew it was going to be a 2-day bus ride to go across the central Andes. It took us to Ayacucho, and then ultimately to Cuzco. I think it was in Ayacucho that we heard gunfire further down in the city. I mean, this was the Shining Path, I think, was coming on, but it was not yet real strong in Peru. Peru was not a real safe place politically to be traveling, but politically, that was not the issue for us at that time. I know we had a Chinese meal of Chinese food in the middle of this Peruvian city, a little town in the Peruvian Andes. There we are eating Chinese food. That I remember. But the main thing is that road, that bus ride. I had never, or Joyce too, we had never imagined anything like that. No guardrails, of course. And now it's more popular. I mean, you see it, most dangerous highways, most dangerous roads. There's television shows that show buses doing this kind of thing all the time, but we had never run into anything like that. The guy had the brake driver had a, or the brake driver, bus driver had his brake lights were wired into a statue on his dashboard, and I think it was Saint Christopher, the patron saint of travelers. I think every time he hit the brake, his little statue would light up, and there were many places where there were whole sets of crosses on the side of the road where some bus had gone off the edge and gone off the cliff, and and the whole thing, the whole time, really, there's this Quechua music going on. You know, it was crowded. It was like you would imagine, maybe chickens in the bus and maybe some piglets and stuff. And it was not a modern day bus, and it was a little crowded. But you know, people were pretty cheery. But it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And now, formative days. What did I get out of that trip? As far what did I learn besides terror? Well, I got to see the fields, and my impression, as I think back now, is that these were not, these were more open, and they seem to have gotten some rain, because I didn't see any further evidence along that bus ride of abysses, of those water channels like I had my first look at in Huancayo. So I don't know. That's why I'm willing to go across this fairly fast, because I don't really think of that many formative days. I remember we'd go over the top of one of the Andes, and a bus driver might just leave the road, forget it. He thinks he knows a better way, and he'd drive out through the alpine fields, I guess you'd call it. And so there was this whole network of roads going across the top, and then they'd go down, and it'd be cold up there. And then go down, and where he'd cross the river, there it'd be steaming hot. And then back up he'd go as he'd go across these Andes. And the one thing I do want to tell you, I remember at one point, as we approached Cuzco, it got worse. I mean, as far as danger is concerned. And what I remember, I mean, the cliffs got more dramatic. It was not so high and open. This is faintly what I remember. But I do remember clearly this. At one point we were going along, the mountain was on our right, and we were going around a shoulder, and I could see about maybe 2, 4, 5 miles ahead a bus that was ahead of us driving on the same road. And that bus, it looked about like that piece of chalk looks on that chalkboard. It was going along what looked to be the side of a cliff, and that was where we were going. Nothing to be done for it. You know, we made it. We made it to Lima, and it was, as I say, it was quite a bus ride, and it's some fun to talk about it. But I would not recommend it, and I would not do it again. All right, now that gets us to, or to Cuzco, did I say? That gets me to Cuzco, and I'll have a good bit more to say about Machu Picchu. Bye for now.